Most missing person cases have an ending. A body is found, a suspect arrested, or at the very least, investigators discover what happened. But every once in a while, a case comes along that seems to break all logic. A woman disappears, and the possible suspect is caught on camera, but his face is hidden in every frame. A teenage cyclist vanishes, and months later, a disturbing photograph appears that may have captured her alive. And a government codebreaker misses work and is later found dead inside a duffel bag. These are three real mysteries with twists that still don't make sense. Jennifer Kess, January 24th, 2006, Orlando, Florida. 24-year-old Jennifer Joyce Kess had a life that seemed to be falling perfectly into place. She had recently purchased her own condo at the Mosaic at Millennia Complex in Orlando. She worked as a finance manager for a large timeshare company. She had just returned from a vacation with her boyfriend and was already planning her next trip. Friends and family described her as responsible, organized, and extremely dependable. Jennifer wasn't the type of person who simply disappeared. The evening before she vanished, she spoke to her boyfriend on the phone. Nothing seemed unusual. Talked about vacation, talked about work, eventually said goodnight. Nobody knew it would be the last recorded conversation that she would ever have. The next morning, Jennifer never showed up for work. At first, coworkers assumed she was running late. As more time passed, concern began to grow. Jennifer was punctual. She didn't ignore phone calls. Something wasn't right. Her parents drove to Orlando and arrived at her condo. Immediately, they noticed something strange. Her black 2004 Chevy Malibu was gone, and inside the condo, several personal items had been left behind. There were signs that Jennifer had gotten ready for work. Nothing looked out of place, no signs of a struggle, no note, no explanation. It looked that she had simply been walked out and vanished. Police began searching. Then they found her car. It had been abandoned about a mile away at another apartment complex called Huntington on the Green. Investigators hoped it would contain clues. Instead, it only deepened the mystery. Then came the twist. A surveillance camera at the apartment complex had captured someone parking Jennifer's car. The person got out, walked across the parking lot, and disappeared. Investigators were stunned. The person may have been the key to the entire case, but there was one problem. Every time the person's face should have appeared on the camera, it was blocked by fence posts. Every single frame. Not once, not twice, every frame. Police estimate the person was about 5'3" to 5'5", but that's about all that they had. Some people believe Jennifer may have encountered someone working at the condo complex. Others think she may have been abducted while walking to her car. Nearly 20 years later, nobody knows exactly what happened. Somewhere in Orlando, someone may know the answer. And somewhere on an old surveillance tape, the mystery person walks away calmly, as if they knew they would never be identified. Tara Calico, September 20th, 1988, Belen, New Mexico. 19-year-old Tara Leigh Calico woke up and prepared for one of her usual bike rides. She often rode along New Mexico State Road 47. It had become part of her routine. That morning, she left her house on her neon pink Huffy mountain bike. She was also carrying a Sony Walkman. Before leaving, Tara told her mother something unusual. She said that if a certain motorist began bothering her again, she would come home and ask for a ride, and she headed out. Hours passed. Tara never returned. Her mother drove the route looking for her. Nothing. No bike, no Tara, no clues. Witnesses later reported seeing a young woman matching Tara's description riding along the highway. Some also reported seeing an older pickup truck in the area, but nobody knew if it was connected. Weeks turned into months. The case began growing cold. Then came the twist. On June 15th, 1989, nearly 9 months after Tara disappeared, a woman shopping in Port St. Jude, Florida, noticed something lying in a parking lot. It was a Polaroid photograph. The picture showed a young woman and a young boy. Both appeared to be bound and gagged. The photo quickly made national headlines. Some investigators believed the young woman resembled Tara. Even Tara's mother believed it was her daughter. Others disagreed. No one could positively identify either person in the photograph. Investigators searched for the van that may have been involved. They tried tracking down the boy. They attempted to determine when and where the photograph had been taken, but every lead seemed to hit a dead end. To this day, nobody knows who the people in that photograph really were, and nobody knows if it somehow captured a missing teenager alive. Imagine disappearing, and months later, a photograph surfaces, and your own mother believes she's looking at you, but she can never prove it. Gareth Williams, August 2010, Pimlico, London. 31-year-old Gareth Richard Williams was brilliant. Born in Angsley, Wales, he was a gifted mathematician who worked as a code breaker for Britain's government's communications headquarters and was on assignment with MI6. Co-workers described him as quiet and incredibly intelligent. He lived alone in an apartment on Alderney Street in central London. And one day, he didn't show up for work. At first, nobody panicked. Maybe he was sick. Maybe something had come up. But after several days passed, co-workers became concerned. Eventually, police were asked to check on him. When officers entered his apartment, everything seemed normal. Until they reached the bathroom. Inside the bathtub was a large red North Face duffel bag. The bag was zipped shut and secured with a padlock. Inside that bag was Gareth Williams, dead. Investigators were stunned. How had he gotten inside? Could he have done it himself? If someone else had been involved, how had they left? The apartment showed little evidence of struggle. There's no obvious explanation. Experts attempted to recreate the scene. Some found it extremely difficult to get inside the bag and lock it. Others argued it wasn't possible. Theories exploded. Was it a tragic accident? Was someone else present? Did his intelligent work somehow play a role? Years later, many questions remain unanswered because the facts sound fictional. A government codebreaker misses work. Police enter his apartment, find him locked inside a duffel bag. It's the kind of story that sounds like a movie script, except it happened. No explanation has ever satisfied anyone. 3 people, 3 ordinary days, 3 mysteries that still don't make sense. A woman vanishes and leaves behind a suspect who can never be identified. A teenager disappears, may have been captured in one of the most disturbing photographs ever found. And a code breaker is discovered in circumstances so strange that people are still debating them more than a decade later. Maybe the answers exist. Maybe someone out there knows exactly what happens. Or maybe these cases will remain unsolved forever. Because sometimes the scariest stories aren't the ones with monsters. Sometimes they're the ones that happen in real life and still have no ending.